The QoA Mimosa is sent by Kinera for reviews. However, they do not have any input on what I should say about the Mimosa, and this review is 100% my own thoughts, opinion, and experience with the Mimosa. Thank you Kinera for trusting me with another review of your product. I am quite new to the brand Queen of Audio. It is a sister brand from Kinera and Celeste. It seems like QoA naming scheme is going with a lot of cocktail names, like the Mojito, Margarita, and Vesper. The Mimosa is perhaps their latest product with a hybrid configuration. The configuration is one dynamic driver and one planar magnetic driver. Looks like this configuration is picking up pace in late 2024, with the introduction of Frost from BQ EYZ, the Aurora from Rose Techniques, and perhaps the Moondrop May, which technically isn't from the late 2024. The price of the QoA Mimosa is around $98 to $99 at the time of writing. Available in two terminations of 4.4 balance and a 3.5 single-ended. The Mimosa also come with two colors, dusky purple, and the one I got here is the wood brown color. From the first time I unboxed them, I was quite surprised with the included cable. The cable is surprisingly supple while giving that premium feel to them. The unboxing experience is quite straightforward. You will find the Mimosa IEMs on top and the case on the bottom. They also have included cards to show what are the specifications of the Mimosa, how to wear them, and their contact information in case you needed them. Opening up the included carrying case reveals the premium feeling cable I've talked about, and two types of ear tips. The purple ones are the wide bores, while the red ones are narrow. The included case is really nice in my opinion. The case is big enough to house the Mimosa and one small-ish dongle, like the CD20 from Celeste and the TP35 from EPZ. With that, concludes the unboxing part of the review. The design of the Mimosa also appeals to me, as you can see the insides rather nicely when the light hits them in a certain way. The other thing I noticed about the design is how sleek and rounded the IEMs are, making them quite comfortable to wear in a prolonged listening session. However, do keep it in mind to always take good care of your hearing by taking a rest between sessions. The QoA Mimosa fits rather nicely inside of my ears. The overall shape and size is perhaps medium to small compared to the other IEMs I've tried so far. The fitment is neither deep nor shallow, making them kind of perfect for office use. The comfort for me is quite nice, and wearing them in an extended listening session does not really result in my ears being uncomfortable. However, in terms of comfort, I think there are other aspects that could play a part other than the physical dimensions, which brings us to perhaps the most important part of any sound-related review. The QoA Mimosa for me is somewhat warm and bassy. The bass response is something else with the Mimosa. I've also read on Headfi that the Mimosa is aiming to be a warm, lush-ish IEM with good bass and clarity. Perhaps I do find it to be true. Let's talk about it. The bass is somewhat bassy and emphasized in the sub-bass region, and quite sloping down around the mid-bass to mid-range area. Overall, the presentation is okay, V-shaped like. If you listen closely, you could make out maybe a little sense of detached bass. It is as if the mid-bass and the sub-bass has somewhat a delay between them. It is not really something you picked up out of nowhere, but once you have noticed it, it might be hard for you to shake the feeling off. Overall, the bass response of the Mimosa is okay, perhaps enough to satisfy bass head or to complement your collection of IEMs. Feeling that transition from bass head IEM to a more normal IEMs. The mid-range is quite thick body. Perhaps the audio term is lush, as QoA intended, giving that sense of warmth, body, and emotions to the overall listening experience. Perhaps if you are more used to a clean sounding IEM, it might feel like you are losing the sense of resolution. But for me, I think the Mimosa sounds nice, giving that slightly old school sound with the modern configuration. Besides, I think you are not really losing that much of resolution, as some macro detail, sound staging, and imaging still came through in terms of technicalities. The overall mid-range feels balanced and well-tuned. The upper mid-range also has that sense of extension, giving a sense of sparkle to vocals, especially female vocals. Which brings us to the treble performance. The treble performance is overall really smooth with a very tasteful hint of brightness. Pairing the Mimosa with a neutral bright source might accentuate the brightness quite a bit. But with a slightly warmer, darker source, the overall treble response is smooth with a little hint of brightness. Perhaps that sense of brightness brings out that sense of detail and technicalities I've talked about earlier. Since the treble performance is quite smooth, perhaps the planar driver is tuned as such. Planar drivers tends to have a nice speed, which might be why the Mimosa has a pretty good detail retrieval while sounding naturalistic and lush in the mid-range. Perhaps if I am nitpicking, the treble presentation can be quite incoherent sometimes. But I barely noticed that with my time with the Mimosa. While both have the similar configuration, they have a completely different sound signature. Compared to the Moondrop May, the Mimosa is bassier and a little bit recessed on the upper mids, while the Moondrop May is slightly leaner in the bass department and slightly forward in the upper mid-range. This results in the May sounding way clearer, giving a better sense of resolution, while the Mimosa sounds a little bit more relaxed. In my humble opinion, I think both can exist in a collection. The Mimosa is perhaps a little bit more suitable for those who enjoy bass and listen to a lot of old school hip hop songs, while the Moondrop May is more suitable for your classical, rock, metal, and many other genres I could not think of. While the Mimosa is perhaps a little bit more expensive compared to the Moondrop May, I think the overall packaging and accessories made up for that. While I do not have the box for the Moondrop May, but from the included cable alone, I think the Mimosa feels way nicer. The Mimosa's case is a tad bit bigger, while the Maze is a little bit nicer looking. The sound presentation is quite decent with the Mimosa. The sound staging is not the widest I have heard, but wide enough to be considered as wide. The small detail also come through enough to notice. I think the Mimosa might be quite good for listening to live recordings. With this song, it seems like the Mimosa can provide a pretty enjoyable tonality, as the bass response is quite nice. The recessed upper mids helps a lot at giving a sense of depth in terms of sound staging depth. The stereo imaging is decent with enough accuracy. Perhaps what is slightly lacking is the verticality aspect in the imaging department. But for the price, I'm not really complaining. The Queen of Audio Mimosa is a brand new IEM with the configuration of one dynamic driver and one planar driver, costing around $99 at the time of writing. It is perhaps a unique configuration that is currently starting to get popular in the budget IEM market. The Mimosa includes two types of ear tips, a carrying case, a thick silver-colored cable, and the Mimosa themselves. The Mimosa sounds warm and bassy. Perhaps if you are looking for a clean and resolving IEM, the Mimosa might not be for you. But if you are looking for a more laid-back, analog sound with a hint of sparkle, the Mimosa might be for you. In terms of technicalities, the Mimosa has quite a deep and wide sound staging and has a decent detail retrieval. Perhaps I am a bit nitpicky with the Mimosa, but I am overall quite pleased with the performance of the Mimosa. As for the ratings, the Mimosa gets a B+ for tonality and another B+ for technicalities. That is it. That is my review of the QoA Mimosa, officially the first Queen of Audio product I reviewed and tried. What do you think of the single DD and planar configurations? Have you tried any IEMs with that configuration? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much, Thomas and Kinera, for making this experience possible. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Have a great day.